back this week, and I got Kevin the real deal over here.
What's
We
up?
got our praise and worship leader. We ain't gonna set it off today. I promise we ain't gonna set it off back here today. We good? Oh, safe. All right. So you know what we do. We take it backwards. We talk about how pastors has been preaching and teaching on Moses and the wilderness and being out in the promised land, bringing people out of Egypt and just all of that, right? And then today, I was like, when Pastor said Desert Storm, I said, we talk about 1991? We talk about the war Desert Storm, but you know what? God is always good. He always present. And no matter what we go through, he always on daddy duty. That was last week, right? Daddy duty. Right. Okay. So today we talking about this Desert Storm. Talk to me, Kevin. Tell me what you feel.
Oh my God, today was phenomenal.
Okay.
The Desert Storm. I loved how it came back to say how, we as people, as humans, we take the desert or the valley or however you want to classify it as a bad thing. And that's not the reality. Sometimes God has us, as the pastor said, go through these things in stages. He strategically plans all of this.
He calculating.
And he carries us through it
That's
as
right.
long as we are obedient to his every move.
Right. So we got to be obedient. That's
Absolutely.
the key thing. We not obedient. When he said, Pastor also talked about today, he talked about the decoys. You got to be ready for the decoys and the mirages or whatever. You got to know how to discern your stage that you're going through in your life or whatever. And like you just referred to, you said, when we go through things, it's not always for the bad. It's for the good. But we got to learn how to let go and let God. So then talk to me real quick. I got my little cheat sheet today. I got my cheat sheet. He said something very, very key, and I want you to tell me what it means to you, Kevin.
Okay.
God, Pastor said how he told Moses to throw the rod in the water because he was talking about Mariah when he said the water was bitter, right? Yeah. God then brought these people out 3 times, and they still complaining. But God said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna give y'all some water. So he told Moses to go ahead and throw. Hit the rock, right? Hit the rock or whatever. So but when he talks about how he threw the rock, he threw the rod to the rock. What else is he talking about when he's saying throw the cross? Because I don't think nobody caught that when Pastor said that. He said throw the cross. So what that mean to you?
I believe he's testing our obedience.
Come on.
First off, because he wants to make sure that those that are watching, those that are following, are catching a hold to what he is trying to do in that moment, in that season, during that time of their lives. Okay. And so when he said to strike the rock, he said, I need the people to see that through obedience, I will provide for them.
God is the provider, not Moses.
Yes,
but God.
So God used Moses.
He used them
to provide for the people.
He used them to provide for the people. Right. So when we going through what we going through, if we learn how to throw God into the mix and not rely on people,
he is the source.
He's the source. Pastor was talking about delete. We always talking about what to delete, right? We saying we need to delete numbers out of our phones. We need to delete situations out of our life. But when we learn to lean to God and not lean on our own understanding, when we acknowledge him, then he can direct our path and move us through this desert. Because, as it was alluded to, we either going through a storm, we in a storm, or we coming out of a storm. So it's like, where do you think that we would be if we just trusted God in that storm?
Absolutely. Don't dilute any experience.
That's the word. That's the word. Dilute.
Anything that we are dealing with, don't dilute it. Make God the center. Let him carry you through it. Be strategic in hearing what he is trying to say to us. Read every word. Listen to every word and find what it is. Find that point that he's trying to make.
See, that's the word. Now Pastor was talking about, he said, when you're going through what you're going through, much prayer, much power. Little prayer, little power. But he also said one key thing. When you're going through it, you need prayer, but you also need that word. So you need that sword. Absolutely. So can you speak to the armor of God?
He said, I sent my word.
Come on.
So that's all we need, is to be keen to that word that he is speaking to us and clothing ourselves in the armor of God so that we are prepared to take on whatever it is that might come our way, whatever it is that might stand in our way, whatever mountain that's in front of us that we feel like we can't get over.
Didn't you sing that?
God is right there. Who are you, great mountain? We got to speak to that.
Who are you, great mountain? Right? God said, I am.
I am.
That I am.
Yes.
Amen. So we thank you today for our Let's Talk About It session. And you know what? If there is anything that you took away from this lesson today, understand this, that God is the source. Yes, he is the source. Yes, he is the rock, like Lady C said. He is the rock at the bottom. When you hit the bottom, he the rock at the bottom. Absolutely. So we got to learn how to trust in God and understand that God will see us through our storms. Yes. He will see us through our trials and our tribulations. Absolutely. But we can't, no tests. no testimony. Amen. But we got to be able to give it to God. So we thank you for tuning in to us today on our Let's Talk About It session. We thank the real deal, Kevin Deal.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Here comes the church.
Yes.